let's talk about it. What are some of the standards that you needed to set? What did that look like for you?
Woo, I will say, I kind of left it a little fluid this time. I do have like my non-negotiables, just like men do on the apps. There's just because that's where I dated mostly, that's what I'll speak to. But there are a lot of men that are like, I don't do single mothers, stuff like that. So off rip, I'm like, okay, we just not supposed to be.
Right.
But I have my non-negotiables. Like I do want to be with a man of God because, you know, I have a relationship with God. So I've tried to date other people that were a part, or they identify with certain religions, and it just didn't work for us.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, if this is somebody that I want to raise kids with,
right, they gotta have
I don't
that.
want this to be like a ticking time bomb.
Right.
And I know people make it work every day, but just for Simoine, I want it to be with a Christian man.
Right.
That already goes to church, so I don't have to like
pull him into that.
Yeah. I definitely wanted a man that had a great job, like had vision for what he wanted to do with his life, because I know when you get to talk about women submitting to man and submission.
Oh God, please,
it's like
not the
a
S
cussing
word.
thing. Look, you're cussing at this
Not
point.
the S word, Simoine. Good Lord, don't you dare say submission on this podcast,
But
man.
I'm like, okay, if I'm going to submit to a man, number one, he can't be submitted to himself. He's going to have to be submitted to someone else, which is the Lord, right? So you got to be submitted to God first. But also, like, what kind of men do I want to submit to? And so that's the thing that I was kind of thinking about. Like, I do want him to be independent, have his own place to live, things like that. And then as you date, you kind of like pick out and observe things that you do want and things you don't. So there were some guys that were really great, but they lived too far, or their lifestyle didn't work for me. So what that might look like is like, if it's somebody who works really late, or you work on weekends, that's my most available time.
Right.
So it's like, if we can't spend quality time, that's one of my top love languages.
Right.
I'm not connecting with you
Right.
the way that I want to, because we don't have time.
Right.
We don't have the time that I need.
Right.
And really, I know it's about both of us. But again, just speaking on Simoine, since I am me. But also, again, like I said, intentional was another important one.
Okay.
Because there's so many great men that I've dated that just weren't on the same page as me.
What do you mean by that?
So I was treated well, respected, all these good things, but I was always upfront about the fact that, not really on a timeline, but I knew that I wanted to be married, have children, that kind of thing.
Right.
Not everybody wants that. Some people aren't even thinking about marriage, and that was kind of scary for me, because I'm like, okay, you know, how long am I going to be somebody's girlfriend, or how long am I going to just date you with no titles and stuff like that? Because that does matter to me. It doesn't matter to everybody. It mattered to Simoine.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I would like to transition into being somebody's girlfriend within this time frame. And then, you know, I would like to get engaged and get married.
Right.
So I had to stop dating dudes that didn't want the same thing.
Do that. That's so interesting to me. Man.
Instead of wasting time trying to convince them.
Right.
Because we do that. We do that. It's like a man will tell you he don't want kids, and you're like, oh, I'll change his mind, girl.
You know,
that rarely happens.
You know what's so crazy? Man, I feel like I'm talking to the woman version of me, bro. Like, I used to do the same thing. No. Nah, I used to do the same thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, literally with my ex, she didn't want to get married. She didn't want to have kids. I tell people this all the time, so they know I'm not capping. She didn't want to get married. She didn't want to have kids. And I used to think to myself, this girl tripping. She know who I am. Man, we watch. In 2 years, she gonna want to have some kids. She gonna want to get married. Once she see how good I am, I'm trying to prove my worth, prove my value, because I'm insecure. I'm not secure. I don't have security in who I am as a person. So I gotta prove to you that I'm valuable, so that you are like, yo, nah, you know what? I actually do want to do this thing. I actually do want to have kids with you. I actually do want to get married. Now that I'm actually secure in myself, I realize, like, yo, you were really just wasting time. Somebody tells you who they are, you believe them, and then you let them rock. You don't try and like, nah, bro, come do this thing. Like, nah, because that's how you end up wasting so much time.
Yes.
And that's what I was doing is like, somebody's showing me who they are. And because I didn't want to be single, because I didn't want to be alone and spend that time by myself, I'm like, we can make it work. It's a red flag, but
I'm telling you, and it's a mixture. It's a mixture of like not wanting to be alone and then settling because you think that it can't get any better. So you're like, no, I need to stay with this person. I need to spend this time here. When no, really, you can keep it moving pretty quickly.
Right.
As soon as y'all have those like big conversations, which a lot of people may not have in the beginning when they're dating. That's something I did learn was start having the hard conversations first.
Right.
And stop trying to be cute, talking about zodiacs and colors and all of that stuff in the beginning, favorite type of music. And I know these things are like conversation starters, but we get stuck there.
Yeah.
And then we don't have the big conversations until, stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, 2 months, 3 months in, now wasting 2 months of my life and I didn't even know you didn't want to have kids in the first place. So why are we talking?
That's it.
You know
I'm not even selfish about it, even from that perspective, because I'm like, look, if I see that we aren't aligned early, I'm releasing you because you somebody else's man.
Right.
You're not my man. So just like I want my man to be released, I need to release you because you ain't my, like I almost want to say, anyway.
Somebody got to release somebody's man.
Okay.
Somebody has to release somebody's man.
Because your man is literally looking for you, okay?
Oh, man.